I'm Chelsea from San Diego, California. My boyfriend Marcus worked in corporate sales, which meant frequent business trips. I trusted him, we'd been together for nearly 4 years, and he'd never given me a reason to doubt him. Until one trip to Phoenix. He said it would be a 2-day strategy retreat with colleagues. But something felt off. His phone was off more than usual. He didn't text before bed, which he always did. I ignored it. Tried not to spiral. But then I got a call from his boss's assistant. She asked if Marcus was okay, said he hadn't shown up to the quarterly presentation. Wait, wasn't that the whole reason for the trip? I played dumb and thanked her. Then I did something I never thought I would. I checked our shared Google Maps history. He'd forgotten to turn off location sharing months ago. Marcus wasn't in Phoenix. He was at a beachfront hotel, in Santa Barbara. Alone? Not quite. I drove up that evening, 3 hours, heart pounding the whole way. I walked straight into the hotel lobby and asked for a key. I had used my card to book us a surprise weekend there months earlier and never canceled the reservation. My name was still on file. The receptionist smiled and handed me the key. I walked into the room. There he was. On the balcony. With a woman I didn't know. They were drinking wine. She was barefoot, wearing my sweatshirt. He looked stunned. I said nothing. Just walked to the dresser, grabbed the rest of my clothes, yes, he had packed my things for her to wear, and walked out. No yelling. No drama. Just closure. He tried to chase after me, but I got in my car and drove off. That night, I blocked him on everything. The next day, I mailed the hotel bill to his office. Along with a note, hope the strategy retreat was productive. When I first met Marcus at a friend's rooftop party in downtown San Diego, I never imagined we'd end up together. He was charming, confident, and seemed too polished for someone like me. I was working as a graphic designer, spending most days in yoga pants with my hair tied back, focused on deadlines rather than dating. But Marcus pursued me relentlessly. Coffee dates turned into dinner dates. Dinner dates turned into weekend getaways. Before I knew it, we were spending nearly every night together, and after 8 months, we decided to move in together. His job at Meridian Sales Solutions meant he traveled frequently. At first, it was just overnight trips to Los Angeles or San Francisco. Then came the longer trips, Denver, Chicago, New York. Sometimes for 3 or 4 days at a time. I didn't mind. I trusted him completely. How could I not? Marcus would call every night before bed. He'd text me photos of his hotel rooms, of the conference centers, of the obligatory business dinners. He'd bring me little souvenirs, a magnet from Seattle, chocolates from Chicago, a snow globe from Boston. And when he returned, he'd hold me so tight, whispering how much he missed me. "You're the only constant in my life, Chels," he would say. "Everything else changes, but not you." There were little things, though. Small moments I brushed aside. Like when I'd catch him texting late at night and he'd quickly put his phone down. Or when he'd step outside to take calls, claiming it was work stuff that would bore me. Or how sometimes his credit card statements would show restaurants in cities he claimed he never visited. Accounting error, he'd explain with that easy smile. And I believed him. Until Phoenix. It was supposed to be a Thursday through Friday trip. A strategy retreat with the sales team, culminating in the quarterly presentation where Marcus was introducing a new product line. He'd been preparing for weeks, staying up late rehearsing his presentation while I dozed off on the couch beside him. This could mean a promotion, he told me, kissing my forehead as he packed Wednesday night. Executive Sales Director. More money, less travel. Less travel sounds perfect, I said, helping him fold his shirts the way he liked them, collars straight, sleeves tucked in just so. He left Thursday morning. I dropped him at the airport, watched him walk through security with his perfectly pressed suit bag slung over his shoulder. He turned back once to blow me a kiss. That night, he didn't call. I texted around 10 p.m. How did day one go? Knock, am dead tomorrow. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, great. Exhausted. Will call tomorrow. Love you. No details. No complaints about his colleagues or mentions of the fancy dinner they surely had. Just, nothing. Friday morning, I sent him a good luck text. No response. I tried not to overthink it. He was busy. Important day. Big presentation. Friday afternoon, I was deep into a design project when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, is this Chelsea Mitchell? The woman's voice was bright, professional. Yes, speaking. Hi Chelsea, this is Dana from Meridian Sales Solutions. I'm Mr. Woodward's assistant. Mr. Woodward was Marcus's boss, a stern man I'd met at the company Christmas party. I'm calling because we're a bit concerned. Marcus was scheduled to deliver the quarterly presentation today, but he hasn't arrived. We've been trying his cell, but it's going straight to voicemail. Given your relationship, I thought perhaps you might know if there's been some emergency. The room seemed to tilt slightly. The presentation in Phoenix? I asked, my voice hollow. A pause. Phoenix? No, the quarterly is always at headquarters. In San Diego. My heart sank to my stomach. Right, of course, I recovered quickly. Marcus had mentioned he was feeling under the weather yesterday. Let me try reaching him and I'll have him call you right away. I hung up and sat perfectly still for several minutes. My hands didn't shake. My breathing remained steady. It was as if my body already knew what my mind was still processing. I opened my laptop and went to Google Maps. Months ago, Marcus and I had shared our locations to make airport pickups easier. He'd complained about it later, saying it drained his battery, but I noticed he never actually turned it off. I just stopped checking. Until now. The blue dot that represented Marcus wasn't in Phoenix. It wasn't in San Diego either. It was in Santa Barbara. At a beachfront resort called the Tides. I zoomed in on the location. The Tides wasn't just any hotel. It was where Marcus had taken me for our 1-year anniversary. Where we'd watched the sunset from our ocean view balcony, sipping champagne and planning our future together. I checked our joint credit card app. There it was, a charge from the Tides. Checked in Thursday afternoon. A room service charge for 2 seafood dinners and a bottle of Chardonnay. Marcus hated seafood. I opened Instagram and searched for the Tides location tag. Images of sunsets and cocktails and happy couples filled my screen. I scrolled mindlessly until I froze. Posted 3 hours ago, a photo of a mimosa on a balcony railing, ocean in the background. The caption, working vacation vibes. The username was private, but I recognized the turquoise bracelet on the wrist holding the glass. I'd sat across from those hands at countless dinner tables. Kylie. Marcus's coworker. The one he'd always described as, brilliant but difficult. I closed Instagram and sat in silence, my design project forgotten on my screen. I should have been crying. Screaming. Breaking things. But instead, I felt eerily calm. My mind was racing through memories, recategorizing them. The late nights at the office. The weekend, training seminars. The texts that made him smile when he thought I wasn't looking. How long had it been going on? Weeks? Months? Since the beginning? I opened my calendar app. 3 months earlier, I had booked a surprise weekend at the Tides for Marcus's birthday. When a project came up last minute, I had to cancel. I called the Tides to see if I could get a refund, but they offered to keep the reservation on file instead, under my name and card. I never told Marcus about the planned surprise. My hands moved before my brain had fully formed the plan. I packed an overnight bag. I called my boss and requested an emergency personal day. I fed my cat extra food. And then I got in my car and headed north on the I-5 toward Santa Barbara. The 3-hour drive gave me too much time to think. To remember every "I love you" that might have been a lie. Every promise about our future together. The apartment we'd been saving for. The ring I thought he might be hiding in his sock drawer. By the time I reached Santa Barbara, the sun was setting. The same magnificent California sunset that had once made me feel so romantic now seemed to mock me. I parked at the Tides and sat in my car for 20 minutes, breathing deeply, mentally rehearsing what I would say when I confronted them. But when I finally walked into that elegant lobby with its nautical blue and white decor, my carefully prepared speech evaporated. "Welcome to the Tides," the receptionist said with a practiced smile. "Checking in?" "No," I replied. "I actually have a reservation already. Under Chelsea Mitchell." She typed on her computer. "Yes, Ms. Mitchell. I see your reservation. You're in room 317. Ocean View King Suite." My stomach lurched. That was the exact room type Marcus and I had stayed in before. "I seem to have misplaced my key," I said. "No problem at all. May I see your ID?" I handed over my driver's license, holding my breath. What if Marcus had removed my name? What if he'd told them about the surprise I had planned months ago? But the receptionist just smiled and handed me a key card. "Elevator is to your right. Enjoy your stay." The elevator ride to the 3rd floor was the longest of my life. My reflection in the mirrored wall looked surprisingly composed, a woman in jeans and a light sweater, hair pulled back, minimal makeup. Not someone about to confront her cheating boyfriend. Room 317 was at the end of the hallway. I stood outside the door for several seconds, key card in hand. I could still turn back. Drive home. Pretend I never knew. Confront Marcus when he returned from his business trip on Sunday. Give him the chance to lie to my face one more time. Instead, I slid the key card into the slot. The light turned green. I pushed the door open. The room was empty, but signs of occupation were everywhere. Marcus's laptop on the desk. 2 empty coffee cups. The bed rumpled on both sides. And then I heard the voices from the balcony. Laughter. The clink of glasses. I moved silently across the room, past the bathroom where I could see 2 toothbrushes in a glass. The balcony doors were cracked open. Through the gauzy curtains, I could see them. Marcus, barefoot in jeans and a t-shirt I had given him for Christmas. And Kylie, her red hair catching the last rays of sunlight, wearing my oversized UCLA sweatshirt. My sweatshirt. The one that had, mysteriously, disappeared from our apartment a month ago. They were drinking wine, talking in low voices. Marcus said something that made Kylie laugh and lean into him. He kissed her temple in that casual, comfortable way that spoke of established intimacy. I pushed the balcony door open. They both turned. Marcus's face transformed in an instant, shock, guilt, fear cycling so quickly I could practically hear the gears turning as he scrambled for a story, an excuse, a lie. "Chelsea," he said, standing up so suddenly his wine glass tipped over. Red wine spread across the white table like blood. "This isn't, I can explain." But there was no explanation needed. The evidence was right in front of me. In the way Kylie couldn't meet my eyes. In the overnight bag I could see through the balcony door, unzipped to reveal more of my clothes, my favorite sundress, my sleep shorts, even my beach hat. He hadn't just brought another woman to our special place. He had brought her my things to wear, as if he could transform her into some version of me that he preferred. I didn't say a word. I walked back into the room, to the dresser where I could see more of my clothes neatly folded. I gathered them into my arms, the sweatshirt would have to stay on Kylie's body for now, and walked toward the door. "Chelsea, please," Marcus pleaded, following me inside. "Just let me explain. It's not what you think." I turned to look at him one last time. The man I had trusted completely. The man I had planned to spend my life with. "It's exactly what I think," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "You're a liar, Marcus. A good one. But not good enough." I walked out, clothes bundled in my arms, and closed the door on his protests. I managed to make it all the way to the elevator before the tears came. By the time I reached my car, I had pulled myself together again. As I drove home in the darkness, my phone exploded with calls and texts from Marcus. I ignored them all. When I reached my apartment, I blocked his number. Then his email. Then all his social media accounts. I sat at my kitchen table until dawn, methodically removing Marcus from my digital life while my cat watched with curious eyes. I changed the Netflix password. Removed his access to our shared photo albums. Transferred my half of the money from our joint savings account to my personal account. When morning came, I showered, dressed, and drove to the post office. I mailed an envelope to Marcus's office containing a copy of the hotel bill I had requested from the front desk before leaving, and a handwritten note on the beautiful stationery we had picked out together for our future wedding thank you cards. Hope the strategy retreat was productive. Then I went home and waited for the fallout. It didn't take long. By noon, Marcus had somehow bypassed my blocks and was calling from a different number. I let it go to voicemail. His message was exactly what I expected: tearful apologies, claims that Kylie meant nothing, that it had only happened once, a lie, that he had made a terrible mistake, that he loved me more than anything. I deleted it without a second thought. The next call came from Kylie herself. I answered that one. "Chelsea," she said, her voice small. "I'm so sorry. I didn't, I thought you two were on a break." "Did he tell you that?" I asked. A pause. "Not exactly. He said things were complicated. That you were pushing for commitment he wasn't ready for." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "We lived together for 3 years, Kylie. We were saving for a house." "I didn't know," she whispered. "He told me you were moving out. That you were seeing someone else." Of course he had. Marcus would never be the villain of his own story. "How long?" I asked. Another pause. 6 months. At first it was just flirting. Then a happy hour that went too far. Then. Her voice trailed off. 6 months. Half of our relationship had been a lie. "I'm not calling for your forgiveness," Kylie continued. "I just thought you should know the truth. All of it." The truth, as it turned out, was worse than I imagined. Marcus had been seeing Kylie every time he claimed to be on a business trip. Sometimes there actually was business involved, just not as much as he claimed. Other times, like Phoenix, were complete fabrications. The clothes, Kylie explained, had started as an accident. She had borrowed my sweatshirt one rainy evening when they were at our apartment while I was visiting my parents. She forgot to return it, and Marcus liked seeing her in it. So he brought her more of my things. Like trying on my life to see if it fit better on someone else. When I hung up, I didn't feel the satisfaction I expected. Just emptiness. And under that, a slow-burning anger. Marcus had not only betrayed me, he had made me unwittingly complicit in my own betrayal. My clothes on his lover's body. My credit card paying for their romantic getaway. My trust making it all possible. That night, I drafted an email to Mr. Woodward, explaining that I had found Marcus at a hotel in Santa Barbara when he was supposed to be giving his presentation. I attached photos of the hotel bill and of Marcus on the balcony that I had quickly snapped before confronting him. I saved it to my drafts folder but didn't send it. Not yet. Instead, I called Marcus's mother, with whom I had always been close. "Chelsea, darling," she answered warmly. "What a lovely surprise." "Hi, Janet," I said, keeping my voice even. "I wanted to let you know that Marcus and I have broken up." A gasp. "What? Why? What happened?" "You should ask Marcus," I said. "I'm sure he'll have an interesting explanation. I just wanted you to hear it from me first, and to say that I've treasured being part of your family." Before she could press for details, I added, "Oh, and you might want to reschedule the family reunion next month. I don't think the lake house reservation is going to work out." The lake house that Marcus had supposedly booked for his family's annual gathering. The lake house that I now suspected didn't exist. Janet's confused silence told me everything I needed to know. "Goodbye, Janet," I said gently, and hung up. 3 days later, Marcus showed up at my door, unshaven and hollow-eyed. I only opened it because my neighbor had texted me a warning that someone was lurking outside. "5 minutes," I said, leaving the door open but stepping back inside. Marcus followed, looking around our apartment as if seeing it for the first time. "You've changed things," he said. I had. His books were in boxes by the door. His artwork was off the walls. His presence was being systematically erased. "What do you want, Marcus?" He ran a hand through his unwashed hair. "I got fired." I raised an eyebrow but said nothing. "Mr. Woodward received some anonymous email with photos of me in Santa Barbara when I was supposed to be at the quarterly presentation." His eyes narrowed slightly. "You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" I maintained a neutral expression even as confusion rippled through me. I hadn't sent that email. It was still in my drafts folder. Which meant Kylie had taken matters into her own hands. "No idea," I replied calmly. "But it sounds like karma." Marcus stepped closer. "Chelsea, please. I know I messed up. Catastrophically. But these past 4 years, they weren't all a lie. I do love you. We can work through this." For a brief moment, I felt a dangerous wavering. Part of me, the part that had planned a future with this man, wanted to believe him. Wanted to think that we could somehow find our way back from this betrayal. But then I remembered my clothes in his lover's suitcase. My sweatshirt on her body. My trust shattered beyond repair. "Your 5 minutes are up," I said. "Take your boxes and go." After he left, I checked my email. There was a message from Kylie. "I quit my job too. Moving back to Chicago. He doesn't deserve either of us." It wasn't friendship, exactly. But it was something like solidarity. In the weeks that followed, I learned more about Marcus's deceptions. The colleague he claimed to despise but went drinking with every Thursday was actually his best friend, who knew all about Kylie. The savings he said were going toward our future house had been dwindling for months, spent on expensive dinners and hotel rooms. But I also learned about my own strength. I repainted the apartment. I took on new clients. I went on a solo trip to Mexico that I had always wanted to take but Marcus had always found reasons to postpone. 6 months after the Santa Barbara incident, I received a small package in the mail. No return address. Inside was my UCLA sweatshirt, freshly laundered, and a note. "Thought you might want this back. It never looked right on me anyway. K." I smiled and put the sweatshirt in a donation bag. Some things you just can't reclaim. A year later, I was having dinner at a new restaurant downtown when I saw them. Marcus and a woman I didn't recognize, sitting at a corner table. He was leaning forward, that familiar intense look on his face, the one that had once made me feel like the only person in the world. She was smiling, twirling her hair around her finger, completely enchanted. Our eyes met briefly across the restaurant. A flash of recognition, of panic. Then I did something that surprised even me. I raised my glass in a small toast. Because I knew something that woman didn't yet know. That the man across from her was capable of extraordinary deception. That the stories he was telling her probably contained just enough truth to make the lies believable. That the promises he was making were written in disappearing ink. But I also knew she would discover it eventually. Just as I had. Just as Kylie had. And when that happened, perhaps she too would find herself stronger for having survived Marcus's particular brand of betrayal. I paid my bill and walked out into the warm San Diego night, leaving Marcus to his next performance, his next audience of one. Sometimes I wonder if I should have confronted him more dramatically that day at the Tides. Screamed, thrown things, made a scene worthy of the movies. But in the quiet dignity of my exit, I had found something more powerful than rage. I had found myself again.